What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody feeling this Saturday? We are back with another show, first show of 2022. Hope everybody is having a great start to the year, hopefully better than the last two at the very least. But we appreciate seeing you guys here on another awesome Saturday. We got an amazing first time guest. Once again, like, subscribe if you're a fan of the show. If you have not been here, welcome. The red carpet is rolled out for you. Once again, every topic we do, we love the interaction in the chat, in the comment section. Retweet the link on Twitter, man. Everybody's description, everybody's information is down in the description below. But let's go ahead and just get to our guest here to kick off the show, man. Once again, our return to 2022. Let's do it big. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live right now. But let's go ahead and just start with our guest of the hour. So this guest hails from one of my favorite websites and or just gaming news sources, and that is Level One Gaming. Shout out to Fame ENT, my guy Dave. We got Floor Hugger here, co-founder of Level One Gaming. Shout out to you. Round of applause, everybody in chat. Welcome her to the Shopcast. So let everybody know where you're coming from, where they can find you. How you been this week?
I've been good. I'm getting a little tired of this panini sandwich being going on for like 3 years. Oh God, was it 3 or 2? But I'm excited for 2022. There's Stalker 2 is coming out. I'm excited for that, or technically Stalker 4, but it is what it is. I'm a floor hugger. You can find me on Level One. You can find me on my channel. Just made a new VTuber model. I don't know why. I just got bored one night. Been around YouTube for about 10 years, give or take. Used to start off playing Call of Duty and League of Legends, so that was like Salt Central. Now I'm pretty chill, RPGs, talking about retro games. Uh, I gotta always, when I get onto shows, thank Fame and Mike. Mike hooked Fame and I up so we could hang out, and here we are at Level One Gaming all these years later. And Baron keeps me calm and keeps me from going crazy all day. And I can't thank those guys enough for just being the awesome people that they are. And thank you guys for, letting me be here and ramble for a bit and talk about some video games and maybe ESO.
Awesome. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to the ESO fans out there. You guys know we got a fellow ESO lover here, Centurion, on the show, but we'll get to him in a second. But more on you, Floor Hugger. Once again, we appreciate you guys. We already seeing the love from the chat. Shout out to you, Baron, in the chat. I saw Michael in the chat. Bacon Life. Shout out to everybody. Sean Sue, Mod of the Year, man. Let's run it up, man. Hit the like button. Appreciate you guys. Let's get to the panel, too. But once again, Floor Hugger, thank you for hanging out, spending a little bit of time on the show with us. We got a lot to cover today, so we'll unpack that here in a second. So let's get to Mr. Steve Harvey. Pong Harvey, how you been, brother?
Ooh, boy, coming into 2022 with a lot of rust after 2 weeks of vacation, basically no podcasting. But I've had the pleasure of having a few shows this week, so I think I'm getting rid of that rust and getting back to normal again. But it's good to be back in the chair. Obviously, missed all my extended families on podcasts, especially you guys on Saturday night over here at PTK, Centurion, and Fuzzy. But it is an honor tonight to have the Floor Hugger here from Level One Gaming. They do amazing work over there. It's really hard to catch all the shows with so much content out there nowadays, but definitely a pleasure to have you here, Floor Hugger. Love your takes on a lot of things, so I can't wait to hear some tonight live. Again, thank you for being with us and joining us on a Saturday night here on the Shop Podcast. But yeah, it's been busy. It's been real life stuff, families, all the stuff that we're supposed to do, right? Video games are for fun. It's a hobby. It's a side thing. But real life does remind you of, what's important. And I just like to say, as I have been all week, please, everybody in the community, everybody here, whether or not you know Spooky Sprocket, please continue to keep him in your prayers and send your thoughts his way. It is not a good situation that he is in. You can go follow his fiance Trinity Warrior on Twitter. She's been giving updates, but basically it is in a really tough spot right now. So please continue to send your thoughts, prayers, however you do that. I'm a big energy guy, so I've been sending healing energy. Please do that as much as possible. Just a great member of the community, just a great guy. If you haven't had an interaction with him, he's just a super, super awesome gamer. and human being, single father as well. So please continue to do that. Otherwise, gaming, I have been all over the place. Again, you know me, I am the grazer, so I am playing everything. I did win NBA 2K22 for the second year in a row during a contest. So I've been back into that again, of course. And otherwise working on the Outer Worlds again a lot. I actually had put that away and got a bug up my butt and was looking for a game to restart again. Popped that back on. I was probably about 20 hours in or so. Couldn't remember a dang thing I was doing. So I just went ahead. And deleted my entire save and started over from scratch again. So, absolutely. Again, it's funny. I won't ramble too long, but you know I do. Look, it's funny when we talk about all these great devs, and Obsidian is right up there with some of the greats. Obviously, me being a gigantic Bethesda fan, Obsidian's always been the little brother, but I always said that they had a potential to come along and be 1B to their 1A. And going back and replaying the Outer Worlds again, man, they are masters of their craft. They are so good at the narrative. They are so good at writing. They are right up there with Bethesda. It's such an awesome time to go back to a game like that from a studio like that, and to just experience it again. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. But obviously, chat, you're all looking amazing and beautiful tonight. Glad to be 2022. So let's get down to business, PTK, because we have the industry exploding already the first week of January. Absolutely incredible.
Man, you got the energy kicked up already.
You
That's
already
what he
know.
does, man. The battery of the Shop podcast. We're going to get that all night, people, free of charge. All right. But anyway, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Shout out to you, Pong. Always here bringing the energy, as you can see. So let's go ahead and get to our next panel member. What's up, Centurion? How you been, brother? Happy holidays. Happy New Year as well. What you been up to, man?
Oh man, what's up? Yeah, happy New Year. It's great to be here. It's great to meet our amazing guest. What have I been up to? Well, shout out to K Mega over there on the GRG podcast for having me over there yesterday for a almost 4-hour podcast.
Marathon over there.
I know, man. We had a lot of great topics. There was even some stuff off the rails. Definitely some heated discussion on some of the stuff going on in the world today. But other than that, man, it was an amazing show. Had an absolute blast chatting with them over there. And then like what we were talking earlier, I have been playing way too much ESO. I get this way every single year at the end of the year when ESO has their holiday events that suck me and my friends right back into the world of ESO. And we even dragged some new people with us into this little clan that we got going on in there now. So man, it's been a fun few weeks, but I have definitely missed conversating with my family right here, my second family. Hell, you guys might as well be part of my primary family. But definitely
Can I get a loan?
Huh?
Can I get a loan?
Can you get a loan? Well, it depends, man. I'll definitely say I'm not rolling in it. But definitely amazing topics tonight. Definitely gonna have some good discussions. Let's do this.
Let's dive in, man. But last but not least, we got to smooth things all the way down. So, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, how you doing? Fresh off the podcast. Shout out to Mav Speculation, Fun Speculation over there. Always doing good work. But what's up, Fuzz? How you been, brother?
Been doing pretty good. New Year's been good to me so far, and boy, gaming news is already like Pong said, it's already getting blasted off here in the first few days. So, man, it's just great to be a gamer. It's an awesome time right now, and glad we have a special guest from Level 1, and man, got some interesting topics to get into. So let's do this.
Even better to be retired and a gamer, right, Fuzzy?
Oh yeah. That definitely helps. It gives me extra time to play the
game. Shout out, man. Appreciate you.
Because we talked about this several times on 2XP. I'm still trying to get through 2017 games, so
I will admit my backlog does stretch a good bit back. Like I haven't finished Red Dead 2 yet. And that's
not going
killing me to some extent. But yeah, I play a lot more, or I have a lot more time gaming. But am I getting games complete? Probably not as well as I originally planned.
That's
Yeah.
okay. It's life.
Sounds about right. Sounds about right. But we appreciate you hanging out with us, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, always bringing the smoothness to the Shop Podcast, man. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. Like you guys know, always kicking it here with us every single Saturday. Let's get into it, man. So first things first, you guys know poll of the week. So it's something that we do here. If you're new to the Shop Podcast, once again, hit the like button, subscribe. Appreciate you guys. There's a join button as well if you want to support the channel in that way. We appreciate the everybody that's a Shop Podcast patron. Love you guys so much, man. Shout out to Shonsu Mod of the Year. I know the Blue, I don't know if he was in here yet, but shout out to him as well, another fellow Shop Podcast patron. So let's dive in, man. We got the poll of the week. Do it every single week. First thing on Monday. So if you're not following me, follow me there in the description below so you guys can be a part of that poll of the week. So you guys ran it up this week. Appreciate the over 200 people that voted. So this poll of the week was, what's more likely to happen in 2022? So I threw a little, some flavor into it. So we got PlayStation goes to E3 this year, God of War gets delayed, Halo Infinite wins Game of the Year, or new Switch reveal. So it was kind of even. Well, technically kind of even. God of War gets delayed, ran away with the actual poll of the week with 67%. I did not think people would be that lopsided in this particular poll. I thought there would be some other ones that'll be a bit more comparable, but we're going to start with you, Floor Hugger, as our special guest on this special poll of the week. So if you didn't have an option or you had another idea, that's fine as well. But out of those four, what would you choose if you had a choice?
Ooh, probably honestly God of War to get
Really?
delayed.
Is everybody
'Cause-
that?
Well, it's not that I want it to, but as somebody who, and I always get roasted for this, loves Mass Effect Andromeda and still plays Anthem, I want games to take as long as possible to be finished and complete and, fully cooked. So if God of War needs some time to cook, let it cook. I've been waiting 4 years for Bayonetta and they just gave us a trailer, so I can wait.
Okay.
I would have waited for Cyberpunk if they said delayed in another 10 years. I would have waited.
Well, you got infinite patience. You one of them rare gamers.
Well, she's playing games from 2017, so
Well, that is true.
we got plenty to play.
That is true.
Yeah.
No, that is true.
I'm still trying to finish stuff on the PlayStation 3. I got time, baby.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I told her about the grazers over here, Pong. I made sure I mentioned that before the show. Oh, yeah. A whole lot of the grazers over here. So
No
touch a whole lot of
one game.
No, none at all. Not especially during this time. Back in the day when we only got a few games each year, but not now. Now you got to experience them all. Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. So I get it. I do get it. I mean, not that anybody wants God of War delayed. I guess, if I'm looking at the list, I guess that's the most likely one. You guys don't think there's a chance PlayStation goes to E3? Not to derail the topic, but I thought that would have been a lot higher.
Here, let me go then, PTK. Let me just go next then.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Look, because I chose God of War because when you put up this poll, hey, first of all, shout out to you, sir. You're on a streak of non-ridiculous polls. And I got to say, we want to keep that going in 2022, okay? Because, I don't want to have to come in here and criticize your polls. So this was a good poll, okay? So this was a great poll. And actually, when I did it, I looked at them all. I didn't think that any of them would honestly happen, right? So it was an even. And so I went with God of War as being the most likely because it's easier, I should say, to see a game get delayed. Like Floor Hugger was just saying, there's always things that can come up that could potentially push it back, right? But Sony brought on those support studios, I think, and one of the reasons they brought on those 6 support studios last year was to help with these upcoming games, especially God of War, because they want to bookend this year with Horizon and God of War. They really want to do that, I believe, internally. So that one I chose. However, today on Living Split Screen this morning during Steel Rain and I's return to podcasting, nearly a 4-hour show. Please go check that out. Shameless plug.
Shout out to Steel Rain.
Yeah, shout out to my brother from another Steel Rain. We had a great morning conversation. And during our conversation, it clicked in my head that I have had this strange feeling that this is the year that Sony does return to E3. I have this sneaking suspicion. Crazy. No, I don't think you're crazy. I have this sneaking suspicion. They could do whatever they wanted to for the entire last generation with how much they dominated and how many fumbles Xbox had and all that kind of stuff. Nintendo returned to E3 last year. They were one of the first ones to bow out of E3. They returned last year. Now Sony understands that the game has changed. Xbox is fully committed this generation. They are all in. They have extreme advantages in a lot of different areas right now, which they did not have last generation. Sony got to beat their own drum last generation. I think this could be the year where Sony looks at the landscape of the industry and how it's changing and decides that they cannot miss out on an opportunity to show up and at least show something during these bigger conferences, whether it's E3, the Game Awards, all that kind of stuff, and to have a presence there, not to allow Xbox to dominate continuously news cycle after news cycle when they can go ahead and show something. And I think that this might change their minds on E3. I think that there is a chance they come back. I could be completely wrong. Again, it's Sony, so I could be completely wrong here.
I think last year gave people a different perspective because last year was arguably Xbox's greatest show in the history, greatest E3 in the history of. I think it's probably the best show that they've ever done, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then the Sony show not being a month later, maybe or over a month later. I think that did a lot from a perspective, just from an image standpoint for Xbox.
Yeah.
The show was universally well liked for the most part. So I think that did, and that was my point of thinking. I'm like, are they gonna let that happen again? As good now, knowing as good as Sony's show can be, we know what Xbox's show possibly is. We knew that last year.
Right.
Yeah.
That show last year could potentially be worse than the show that we're getting this year. So just kind of knowing that in the back of my head, I thought maybe Sony, that would be something that crossed their mind. Like, you know what, we maybe, and just the fact, just them announcing going back to E3 is a big deal.
Yeah. And look, the other aspect of this too is that everybody is sitting out here, as far as the media goes, just waiting for an opportunity to give Sony kudos, right? We know this, right? They've slowly changed their tune in a lot of different ways, and they understand that Xbox right now is doing a lot of things right, and they flipped and started giving positivity to Xbox as well now, right? And we've seen that. However, they are still waiting for any opportunity to give Sony their kudos as well. And for them to show up at E3 would just be free marketing and advertising from the media, because everybody would make a big deal out of it if Sony does show back up there. So I just think it's a win-win if they are going to do it this year. I think they could pull it off and create some waves of their own at an E3 this year. So that's where I'm at.
No, I agree, and I want to kind of ping pong that off you once again, Floor Hugger, if you don't mind. Just that concept. Now, knowing that, like, I mean, obviously, it's not necessary for Sony to go back to E3, but knowing that last year was a very, very good year for Xbox. You want to talk about just from an image standpoint, the show was phenomenal, the pacing was phenomenal. With this show potentially being even better than that show, Sony knowing that. Like, what do you think? You think that's a maybe likely option, or what would you feel if that happened?
I mean, Sony for a long time has not worried about, and Baron's gonna laugh when I say this, the size of their glizzy, because they are they've been the leader for a long time, and I think they are slowly starting to realize that, hey, those times that we thought Xbox might have been sold off and shut down or whatever, they spent some time rebuilding themselves. So I don't know if Sony is fully committed to, hey, we actually have a legitimate competition, but if they do show out, that would be cool. Like, and it has to be a good show, because it can't be the horse doo-doo we saw before where it was slow. I don't want no musical performances. I want it fast and hard, and there is a joke in there. Leave it alone.
Pause.
Full pause. No, I think it would be cool if PlayStation goes, but I don't know about them anymore. I used to know about them, and then they said, "Hey, we're gonna shut down the PlayStation store for PS3." Oh wait, we did it early, so my bad.
So no, once again, I think, and that's another thing you got to think about too. This is not the traditional Sony that we've been seeing over time. So they've done a lot of different things. Jim Ryan at the helm. A lot of different things. They're thinking a lot different than the old traditional Sony. But let's go ahead and get this over to you, Centurion. Get your opinion on this, man. Out of those options, what would you choose and why, man?
Well, if you want to know the absolute truth, I put God of War gets delayed.
Okay, if you were gonna lie, what would you say?
Well, I feel like anytime anybody, like, dude, there was one time I made a PlayStation joke, and next thing you know, my account got hacked, and I had to like call up and get in a 45-minute phone call. So now it's just like you look from side to side and be like, well, I don't want the PlayStation fans to get mad, but I believe God of War is going to get delayed.
Oh, that's awful. Wandering Dutch said it best. If you are that locked into a plastic box, you go out and touch some grass.
Yeah.
It's a plastic box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a saying on Living Split Screen. Get some help. Go get
Yeah.
some help, please.
Like,
I'm going to say I believe it's going to get delayed just because that's Sony's MO. I feel like they jumped the gun. Like I remember when they showed the banner for God of War Ragnarok 2021 and and everybody's like, it's coming out 2021. No, that's just going to be the next update is going to be in 2021. and and I just kind of am curious though if they are going to delay it, because I think somebody mentioned it here just a minute ago, but we've got Horizon Forbidden West here in the beginning. We've got potentially Gran Turismo 7 in the middle, and we've got God of War that's supposed to make up the end of the year or the bookend. And do they really want to do that? Especially, here's the one thing. Can God of War compete with Starfield?
I don't think it needs to.
It doesn't need to.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I don't
two
think it
different
needs
games.
I'm not saying like compete. I'm just, well, they're going to have to compete for mind share, because like Starfield is being regarded as one of, it's going to basically change Xbox. We've seen how obsessive people are with Skyrim and anything that Bethesda pumps out that is on that level. And Starfield can be one of those games where you get to play it over and over and over again and still discover different things every time you play it, where we all know how linear God of War could truly be. That's where I'm really curious in the end on, are more people going to be focused on Starfield? Like I'm talking the multi console owners, people who own every console out there, and you're basically staring at Starfield or God of War. What am I going to put my time into first? And that's where I'm kind of wondering, are people just going to jump on the Starfield bandwagon and hold off on God of War until they're done with Starfield and come and get it when it's on sale or something else? I just don't know if Sony is really going. I'm curious on how Sony's going to approach this situation, purely because we all know that Starfield is coming around holiday time. God of War is going to be coming around holiday time. There's actually some that believe that God of War might come out in October, just so that way they can have it in the Game of the Year contendership. So that I could see possible too. It comes out in October, and then we have Starfield that comes out in November. October would be the perfect time to release God of War, because you'd be able to get it out just in time for that Game of the Year contendership, and you would be releasing it before Starfield, and therefore you wouldn't have to worry about trying to get in the same mind share, because come on, Sony loves trying to stay in mindshare. Anytime Microsoft does something, Sony throws something out on Twitter, social media, YouTube. They try to do something to try to retain that mindshare. And now we're going to potentially see at the end of the year, Sony have to compete for mindshare when it comes to the hottest thing since sliced bread in gaming. And is that going to be God of War or Starfield?
Well, I mean, I don't. So once again, this is just me talking. So I can't speak for everybody here on the panel. I don't think they need to compete. Now, I do think Starfield is going to be a big game. Now, it remains to be seen what kind of game it is and what we're actually getting, and we'll see it for sure at
PTK.
E3.
PTK. Skyrim in space.
No,
God,
I know,
Howard,
I know.
praise be his
Listen.
name.
No.
Amen.
I'm not
Okay, it's over
saying-
with.
I know. See, I know how you guys feel. I know how. I already know.
Just giving you a hard
I
time,
know.
brother.
I know, but no.
For me, it's not the way of it's God Howard. I love Todd Howard. I mean, I love the work he does. I love the games that Bethesda pushes out. It's more of the fact that I do the reading, I do the listening, and let's face it, God of War Ragnarok was supposed to be DLC that they held back, and they've expanded upon it. We're going to basically get more of God of War. And that's where I also feel that maybe the double standard will kick in, because I still remember when Far Cry 6 came out. Oh, it's just more Far Cry. Well, can that be said about God of War? It's gonna be, oh, it's just more God of War. You know, are we, but we're talking about Starfield, Skyrim in space, something groundbreaking, something new. And that's where I'm not saying Sony has to compete with Microsoft. I'm talking more along the lines of mind share. In other words, people that are out there looking for something new. We've already experienced God of War. We know he's a very aggressive individual that likes to take things down with a magical flying axe. He has a son named Atreus. He likes to say boy. Christopher Judge is an awesome actor. I love how he portrayed Kratos, but everybody knows what they're getting. I wonder if people are going to be more curious about Starfield.
That's a real question. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like it's not a real question, especially being, this first new IP from Bethesda after so long, 25 years. This idea has been rolling around in Todd Howard's head, and how special and how much it means to him, because this is like his baby. So this being the baby of Todd Howard, there's definitely a big draw to that. So we'll see. And that's a real question. So I'm not going to dismiss that, but I don't want to miss. Shout out to Smitty Smith, the $10 super chat. He said, "Happy New Year's, everyone." Shout out to you, Smitty. Happy New Year to you as well, man. Always showing love here on the Shop Podcast. But let's go ahead and get this over to you, Fuzzy Belvedere. Get your opinion on the options. Are you going with the trends on this one, or are you thinking of something different?
I hate to say I'm going with the trends on this one. I actually voted on God of War Ragnarok getting delayed because PlayStation refuses to attend E3. I mean, I really like Pong's viewpoint on it because it does make sense. That could very well be the case, given that Xbox is competing and hitting on all cylinders this go round, as opposed to just kind of being there and everybody's aware of them type of deal. So while E3 is a possibility, I don't know. I kind of early on in this generation kind of saw PlayStation making similar PS3 like attitude problem. Well, not attitude problems, but like mistakes or so. So I don't see them at E3 this year. And with Nintendo, I don't know. I think they might just go like VR this next go around, like an Oculus Quest 2 type of item, where it's like all-encompassing virtual headset type of deal. That would be like their replacement portable. But and then with Halo, it always seems like, at least for the VGAs, it always seems like any game that came out the year prior, like past that window where it's like the mid-Novembers and later, they always get ignored. Like Assassin's Creed got ignored the one year. Like I guess it was with the Origins that first go round. Jedi Fallen Order got ignored. So I just have a feeling they're not even going to bother including Halo in that running, just because of the time that's passed type of deal. So that's why I went with Ragnarok, because I was one of those knuckleheads that believed the whole 2021 thing, because I kind of saw Ragnarok possibly being more like a Miles Morales level, not calling it DLC, but like where you're using a similar engine and it's more of a continuation type of thing, or like a smaller storyline than like the 2018 version of God of War. So I was like, oh yeah, they could totally have that in 2021. But I could totally see them now reevaluating that and looking at making it as epic, if not more epic, than what it was for 2018, and just wanting to spend more time polishing it and stuff like that. And that's the one I see most likely happening. I mean, could we see more new hardware from Nintendo? Yeah, but I think it's a VR set next go round, and Sony should go to E3, especially considering it's going to be a digital deal again. But they've kind of made their statements in the past where it's like they don't really need anybody. They make their own news cycle when they want to make their own news cycle. They kind of crouch and pounce when they feel like it, type of thing, or however they termed it before the launch of this generation.
Okay. All right. No. So once again, no, I do 100% agree with everything you said as far as just Starfield and it's interesting to talk about Halo. I'm glad you brought that up because that is an interesting concept to think that just because of the time passed that Halo might completely get ignored for Game of the Year. That's a realistic thing. Like that might actually happen. As highly rated as it is now, what might help Halo is that remember that season 2 is coming out in like May, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That might give Halo additional boost. That co-op's coming out. That might give them a second look.
True.
But isn't technically the multiplayer a different game? Technically,
I mean, it depends on how you look at it. But yeah, I mean, they could. I mean, you could say
Red
that,
Dead
yes.
Redemption Online is a separate game now. It's sold separately, so
True. I still have a gut feeling we're going to get a surprise DLC drop for
we have to.
Infinite Campaign, kind of like because I haven't finished it yet, but I'm hearing it's kind of cliffhanger-ish as far as the way it ends. So I could totally see them kind of surprising us at like the 6-month point of the game or 6-month anniversary of the game. Be like, oh yeah, here's another 10 to 12 hours of campaign stuff, type of deal. Kind of like the whole Game Pass model to kind of keep people engaged in the single player or that extended 10-year lifespan of the storyline. So I can totally see them surprising us with that to kind of bring the attention back to the campaign. But yeah, the VGAs just seem like they like to ignore the mid to late November games for the following year, even though they say they won't. But I yet to see one get included.
I'm with Fuzzy on that.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
NPTK, I wanna hear what you think first, because you like Fame get pushed to the side, and I need to hear your beautiful voice. Do you guys think that God of War and Starfield, if they were to come out at the same year, that people would get God of War first because they know it's a tight 20-30 hour experience compared to like a Starfield, which is technically unlimited? Because we just got the news that Dying Light, it's going to take 500 hours to finish. And I'm like, I don't want to play it. I want to play it, but I don't want to spend 500
That's
hours.
a bit ridiculous, yeah.
That's Persona 5 hours.
Well, there's a couple different ways to answer that question, right? It depends on how you're asking. So, it could be the draw of knowing what you're going to get with God of War could be the thing that drives people to buy it. I know what I'm getting. I'm getting a great single player experience. I'm getting a continuation to a great story. I'm getting great voice acting, generally great graphics. I'm getting tight gameplay. That may be, the draw. People do, Sony fans do go out and, support their first party game. So I don't think this God of War will be any different. But to saying all that, Starfield can be extremely special. I think Starfield's potential could be far more than what God of War Ragnarok could be. And that might be enough. And then knowing that it's, like I said earlier, Todd Howard's baby, this is a game he's been dreaming about for 20 plus years. He's finally has the technology, finally has a team. They have this marriage now with Xbox and everything's on the up and up. This could be huge. This game could come out and change everything that we know, maybe change the entire course of like Western RPGs. So
it could be Star Citizen that actually comes out.
Yeah, it really. That's the real potential. That's what you're looking at. Potential versus something that I know. I kind of know what I'm getting in this particular package. So, that's a real tough question to ask. That's a tough question to ask. So, I know you said you wanted somebody else to go as well, but whoever wants to touch on that can go ahead and touch on that.
Well,
touch it.
Look, pause.
No pause.
No pause on that one. Okay, all right. I think that this is when you're a grazer, this is what the beauty of it is, because you don't worry about this stuff. Now, for the people that have to complete games, or people that don't like playing multiple games at one time, the obvious answer is that they're going to play God of War first if they're a multi-console owner, right? If they have the ability, they're going to clear God of War out because they know what they're going to get. They're going to get that excellent single player, narrative driven, third person game that Sony has become famous for, and they're going to get that out of the way, and they're going to complete it. They're going to love it. It's going to be God of War, more God of War, and more God of War. And that's exactly what they're looking for when you are one of those fans. So they're going to complete that. And if you're a multi-console owner, chances are, if you have an Xbox, you're going to have Game Pass. So Starfield, is sitting there waiting for you whenever you're ready, right? So I think
that's true as well.
I think that's
underrate that.
Yeah. I think that's the obvious answer. It's just a download away. You don't have to worry about it. It's not even your mind. You're not budgeting for it. Again, me as a budget gamer, I'm always thinking about that stuff, but Game Pass takes a lot of that away. But I'm just trying to think outside the box for somebody who owns multiple consoles. You do have to make those decisions sometimes, but with Game Pass, it makes that easier. So I think that God of War is going to be that one hit that you just jump right into. 40 hours later, you're done, you're out. If it winds up even being that long, who knows? It could be a shorter experience. It could be 25 hours or so. Clear that out, and then you got all the time in the world for Starfield. It's going to be sitting there waiting for you the entire time, and you've got hundreds of hours of content in there, possibly thousands of hours, depending on how you play a Bethesda style game, and depending on how Starfield actually does turn out. We're just going by Todd Howard's word. Skyrim in space. Well, look, Skyrim is hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours. So if that's if that's the case, then that's what I think is the easy answer on that one. So I just from that standpoint, I don't think there's not a whole lot of discussion. It is what it is, right? So what you're getting out of God of War is basically what I'm saying, straight up. Right.
No, absolutely. And that's kind of, that was my point, with my argument is that, it just depends on the gamer, man. And that's a tough question to ask. I do think the potential of Starfield is far greater than God of War Ragnarok, though. Yeah. So I do think that absolutely. New IP,
it's a new IP,
Todd Howard,
right?
Exactly. Skyrim in space, that's a lofty standard, So
the only reason I ask is I know if God of War is announced to come, it does come out close to Starfield and it's not delayed. That's the question people are going to pose on social media. It's not even the same thing, but okay.
It's natural, that they're gonna compare the two. So let's go ahead and actually move on, man. That was a great opening topic. Once again, chat warming up. Shout out to you, Back from Dead, everybody hanging out in the chat. Shonsu, everybody hanging out with us, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Once again, the Shop Podcast Live. Hit the like button if you're in here right now. Once again, retweet the link on Twitter as well. Let everybody know we are live. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about PSVR2. So Sony made an announcement at CES 2022 this week. PSVR2. Now, I'm not the biggest VR advocate, but I am not a dummy either. So I do respect the technology. The specs sound insane. It sound amazing. I'm like I said, I'm not the biggest advocate for VR. That's not my type of gaming. I mean, I've played the PSVR. It is a great experience. I've never played the Oculus or the Valve VR. So I will defer to my colleagues here who have played it. But just want to start with you, Floor Hugger, once again were you excited about PSVR 2? One, were you an early adopter of VR just right off the bat? And then two, were you really excited about this announcement?
I can't play VR. I get like super motion sick.
Wow.
I want to.
Okay.
It's taken me since Mirror's Edge, the first game has released, till right now to get to the second chapter. So
wow.
I'm bad, but I do want to play it. I want to go back and play Resident Evil 7 because I don't like life. It's interesting to see what they're going to do with this. I hope they make it a lot more accessible for people with severe motion sickness and not so expensive. I hope VR starts to come down in price, especially for PC setups. But maybe PlayStation is going to lead the way with this and be like, hey, it's affordable. The tracking is good. It's sexy.
With the tech, what are you sitting at a price point? If we just want to throw it out there.
I mean, I'm thinking old school, bundle it with a console.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
that would be awesome, but if you had to buy it separately, it can't be more than the console. So I don't know, $400 or $500 maybe, if that.
Okay. That's fair. That's right around where I was thinking anyway. So I
'Cause
think
it can't be
5
too
is max.
expensive.
Yeah, I don't think you can
Yeah.
be anything higher than 5. I don't know what the Oculus is or the Valve VR currently. I think into Oculus like $300.
The Oculus is $300, but the argument that was given to me was they're going to sell the headset for about around $300 or so dollars, and then you still got to buy the joysticks or basically the modified Move controller. What were the Move controllers? They're thinking that between the controllers and the headset, you'd probably be about $500.
Ooh.
They're gonna sell it separate.
They but they said that it was like they did that in the last PlayStation VR. You bought the headset and you bought the Move controllers separately, or you bought a bundle with them together.
Yeah. Interesting.
Forgot about that. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And some people still aren't cool. I mean, it's not wireless. I know the Oculus is wireless. So some people would prefer that option. I know that was kind of the big thing that I heard universally. I don't know where you're at with that, Floor Hugger.
You know what? Wireless is great because you can't see your feet. So I don't want to be tangled up in cords. If people want to get into VR, honestly, being on console is the way to go because I think Vive, the newest headset, is almost like $2,000 if you buy everything together. So get into it if you want. PlayStation, do what you do. Just don't repackage the same thing and don't sell everything separately. And don't pull an Oculus where a guy wrote in, hey, my strap on my helmet isn't tightening anymore. And they told him to buy a new headset. Don't be that, people.
Oh wow.
Like-
Okay. Well, yeah, that's probably not a good marketing ploy, but yeah, no, either way. So once again, I think this, just to be fair, I am not as well versed on VR as some of my colleagues here. So like I said, I'm gonna defer to everybody here on the chat. So we actually gonna get this over to you, Pong. Just where you at about are you excited about the announcement? You know, I know VR is not something we talk about a whole lot on the show, but we do respect that space as well. Once again, you know, be it that it is a medium that's growing. There's a ton of people. Shout out to Cog, by the way. That guy sold more Oculuses for Oculus in the last month than I've ever seen in my entire life. So shout out to Cog, man.
Meta wasn't dumb hiring him.
Dude, crazy. They were not dumb. I've seen so many people saying, I picked up an Oculus on my timeline. I'm like, shit, I'm thinking about getting one. God damn it. Might as well. But either way, Pong, man, where you at on this, man?
No, with VR, until I can get strapped down with an IV in me and have a full body experience, I'm not down for VR. So if I'm 80 and I can go relive my 20s with superpowers, I'm in. Right now, it does not interest me. However, like you, PTK, I'm not stupid, right? I'm not one of those guys who's going to say that VR is, you know, pointless, that this is going nowhere. No. This is the future. Okay, this has the potential to be how we gather, how we, you know, experience different things together, how we interact with games. It has the potential for all that. So I give props to everybody, Sony included, that is pushing this medium forward, because without these companies doing this, it would go nowhere because it would be dead in the water. So I give them props, right? So with the announcement of Sony PSVR2, I'm happy. They did address a lot of the concerns that people had with PSVR1. Like Floor Hugger said, one of the main obstacles is the people who do get motion sickness. And that's just a matter of technology catching up, right? And they are doing much better with the OLED screens. They're calling it 4K. I know technically, you know, each eye is 2000 and something. So it's not, together it's 4K. It's not technically full 4K, as in both eyes are receiving 4K images, but that is going to help along with the 90 to 120 hertz. That was another big issue that causes a lot of motion sickness. So they addressed a lot of that. So that's fantastic. They are giving you a premium experience. That's how they sell all of their stuff at this point, is premium experience. So they are going, they're going to be like when PSVR 1 came out, it wasn't up to spec with a lot of the VR tech that was out there, right? That was a big problem. Now they're going to be in line with everybody else. As Quest 3 has been announced, they have not announced a lot of the stats and stuff, but that it's going to be in line with that from everything that we're hearing. So that's good news. Yes, it's still corded, but there's a reason for that. Again, without having, you know, a chipset and everything built into the headset, the hardware itself, and having a, you know, fully autonomous VR headset, which, you know, some of the top end ones cost $1,000.
Yeah.
You can't really do that. So you got to have that one cord because wireless is still not there for VR tech, especially, right? It's going to take another leap before VR can use wireless in a manner that is acceptable. I mean, you can do it now. There is tech, and some people don't have an issue with it, but you don't get the same quality as you do. So if you're not going to have the hardware built in, if it's not going to be an all-in-one unit, then you got to have that cord so that you get the optimal experience by having it plugged into your PS5. So that is an obstacle as well, because like we said, we'd all love just to have wireless if we're going to do this for a lot of reasons. So one cord, you know, it's about the best they could do with this thing. That's fine with me. Price point. First one came out at $399. Now, I've heard arguments on both sides of this. Personally, I'm in the camp that it's $500 unless they're going to lose money. Okay. Personally, I'm in the camp that it comes out at $499 unless they're willing to lose money. Now, I've heard the argument from others in the community that there's no way it's going to be $499, that it's going to be $399 just like the first one. You know, because like people mentioned here, Florhugger mentioned it, to have it priced the same as a console or more than a console is kind of crazy. And yes, that is kind of crazy. Together, you're going to have $1,000 invested in this thing. However, again, with Sony and how they do things, when they market something as a premium experience, they charge you that Sony tax, as my brother I Steel Rain likes to say. So I kind of expect it to run in that $499 range. I'd be surprised if it comes underneath that. And I think that is okay because look, right now people can't even get a PS5. Right. So that, you know, and that's not going to clear up for at least another year. Some people are saying it's going to roll into 2023. So if that's the case, you're already going to have a small player base. It's going to be your hardcore that go out and buy this thing. They'll buy it at $499, the same as they would buy it at $399, right? So they'll have time to bring down the cost of that headset by the time they get enough PS5s into the wild where they can start getting beyond their hardcore fan base, especially since VR cuts that base even down further to a very small sliver. That's okay. Then they can reduce the cost. They'll be able to say, you know, they'll have PS5s out in the wild for everybody to pick up. And oh, by the way, the PSVR2 just dropped $100 in price and now it's $399. Okay. They're going to be able to do that kind of stuff. So I think it makes sense that they start out high and then wait for a while until they drop it down. Yeah, we'll see. If they come in lower, good on them. That means that they are willing to take a loss on this thing. I believe they would be taking a loss if they come in at $399. You know, that's great on Sony. That means they really want to push this thing now. I just don't think there's enough PS5s to really warrant that, but we'll see. No, props out to them. For pushing this forward. Again, I can't wait till VR catches up. I will say the one thing that will get me to buy a VR headset at some point is if they get together and they create one kind of hub style where I can go to concerts, movies, sporting events all over the world, things that aren't available to me in one hub where I can just pop on my VR headset and I can say, man, I want to go to the Super Bowl today. Obviously, I have no opportunity to do that. But look, for $15, I can pop in the 50-yard line and watch the game. I would do that in a heartbeat, or a ballet over in Europe or in Russia or wherever that I'm not going to be able to attend, and have the best seat in the house in VR, have the ability to maybe even walk around behind stage or whatever the case may be. When they get that would be the one thing that I would buy VR for, that I would say, all right, it's not the same experience. I'm a big live music guy, so it's not going to be the same experience as being able to go live somewhere and have one of those forms of entertainment in front of you. But at the end of the day, if I'm not around, I'm not available, and I don't have the money to go do that kind of stuff and fly all over the world, then that would still be the second best thing for me. And I'd love to be able to do that. So that's the one caveat with VR that would get me.
And that's
So,
that's
like,
go ahead. Go
a
ahead.
modern version of PlayStation Home. Remember when they used to have
Yeah.
that with your avatar?
Yes, of course. Yes, absolutely. And we're going to see more of that, right? We know that's coming. They already have a lot of that available. NBA has been doing it for a while now. You can go to NBA games and stuff. There's a lot of that. I just want one kind of hub world where I can go there, see everything that's currently live, and be like, yeah, I want to go there. Let me buy a ticket to that. That would be cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or crazy thought, PlayStation, they announced this, the VR, and then they're like, hey, this is the PStation 5 Pro. Have at it.
Now that would be
I can see them doing
insane. They can't even get out PlayStation 5 to announce a PlayStation 5 Pro. Woo! Floor hugger. All right. That would be crazy.
I'm not trying to give them ideas.
Whole PlayStation move though. I could totally see them doing that.
Right? That's what I'm
kind
like.
of what they did with the previous generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are known for just doing what they want. Not in a Nintendo way, because Nintendo's off in whatever they're doing. PlayStation's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this. What's up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't put anything past them. You're right.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that's one point. So very, very interesting point there, Pong. A lot of great points about PSVR and the viewpoints and price points. And the price point is always going to be the kicker. So we'll definitely see where that lands, because I honestly that's pretty much the most important aspect of VR at this particular point in time. Where's that price point going to land at? Does it make sense financially, or is it going to be in a bad spot? But we'll see in due time. So let's actually go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuss, since you spoke up already. It's a great segue. Might as well throw it over to you, brother. Just see where you're at on the PSVR2.
Well, I'll start off with price. They didn't announce price, so it leaves us to speculate. I mean, the tech itself warrants a $500, maybe even more than a $500 price. Even if they sell it at $500, they might be taking a loss. But just considering the success, and it was a success, because considering they're making a VR2, the first one had to have been enough of an internal success for their metrics for them to even want to do a 2. So that being said, I really can't see them really trying to push beyond the $400 price point. Like if they do the $500 price point, that Horizon game better be a bundle, like an included thing. Like you get the controllers, you get the headset, and you get the game. That's just old school gamer version of me looking at, hey, that's a lot of money.
They're not going to do that.
They're probably not, because right now they're charging $70 for games when a lot of other places are charging less. But it needs to kind of fit that niche, or fit that window, so that way they go beyond it just being niche, and it can be more and more mainstream than the first one was. Now, the other thing that's kind of been puzzling me, and Big Cloud Gaming kind of brought this up on Boom Show. I'm wondering if, like, the first PSVR, you could hack it and use it on PC. If this one is already dedicated where it not only works on a PS5, it can work on a PC without having to, sideload or do any hacks or anything like that, I think that might be their bigger entryway. One, there's the whole thing as far as them doing more PC ports, which is we definitely know they want to do. But if they get that type of blend with the PC market, that opens them up to a much bigger audience. And I think that might be something with these tech specs that they're doing is above and beyond what some of the PC level ones are doing.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, it's still tethered, but it seems like that's where they're aiming for. And it's like, yeah, we're not going to see a PlayStation PC or anything like that out there. But if you can use this headset on both your PC or your PS5, or let's say you're an Xbox guy and you have a PC as well, and they make it so you can play some of these, upcoming PSVR games that might be day and date on PC as well, type of thing. Not predicting anything, but just in case if that happens, would be a easier way for them to kind of get around the chipset limitations, where there aren't as many PS5s as they would like to be in the wild. They wanted to have 10 to 15 million out there right now. They were only able to produce somewhere closer to like 8 or 9 million. So they're behind the 8 ball, not that they're unable to sell them. It's just that they don't have the hardware to be able to put together to get them produced, type of thing. So if they're kind of future proofing themselves to some extent, then I would say that if this thing winds up being compatible with PC as well, I think that's a big step in the right direction. Another big step is that they're finally having their first party step up and do a full from the ground up game that's not just an experience. Like, okay, you can have experiences like the Batman, the Batcave thing, or like the Iron Man game where it's like a small experience. But when you start doing things like almost like a like Alex, Half-Life Alex type of deal, like what Valve did, where you're building the game ground up to be VR, what they're doing with like the Horizon game. I think that's telling that they're going to now dedicate more resources to making, their premium experiences for VR, as opposed to just having it where it's like, oh, something that you could play for a couple of hours is kind of like a side thing, or it's like it works on console, but hey, you get this, couple of hours worth of content that you can see in VR type of deal. I mean, it's great that they have VR work for things like Gran Turismo, where you're in car and you can look around, see the cars that are, riding alongside you or something like that, or somebody that might be trying to, cut you or cut the corner a little bit sooner than you or outbrake you type of deal. But if they're going to start making games that are specifically built for the VR, I think that's also a big step in the right direction, and telling that VR is a sustainable, avenue for them, with them not just making the hardware but also making the games. But for me personally, I'm not ready to dip into VR. Like, I was kind of always on the fence with VR, with the PSVR 1. I think it wasn't Breakpoint, but there was like a space game that they had that I was really I would say I was really close to picking the PSVR version 1 up for, and then I just kind of held off on it just for the fact I had the base PS4 as opposed to a PS4 Pro. Kind of missed my window of opportunity to get the PS4 Pro, because I was going to do the hand-me-down thing where I gave my launch PS4 to my wife, and then I got the PS4 Pro. I know that's a bad way of doing things, but she wanted to have her PS4 a little bit sooner for the games that she plays on PlayStation and stuff like that. So I missed my window for that, and I waited until the PS5 came out, so I had my PS5. But knowing Sony, I could totally see them doing a PS5 Pro, which I wouldn't be the happiest at that point, because I waited outside of a GameStop for a PS5 and was lucky enough to get one. But yeah, PSVR 2, it's awesome to see that they're doing it. I'm not readily in the market for it. I am more interested in VR on PC, but it's more so for like modded games. Like, my PC is basically not to play games to complete them or for achievements or anything like that. It's more like, oh, Grand Theft Auto 5 with the real world, highlights and ray tracing and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what my PC is good for. So that way I can have, these amazing looking games that I'm not really worried about completing them. It's just I want to blow stuff up or just drive around and look around type
Jasper
of deal.
Gaming said Farpoint was the space game.
That's it. Yeah, Farpoint. That was the one that it was like I really wanted to get PSVR for that, but I'm like, I don't want to buy this accessory for one game, because I did that with Sega way too many times. I bought the Sega Genesis. Well, my parents bought the Sega Genesis. I bought the Sega CD myself, and I bought the 32X. I bought the 32X for Doom, and then it felt like 2 months later the Saturn came out. Me being a knucklehead, I went and bought the Saturn, and I got like all their disc like racing games. Like I had an Outrun game, I had a Jaguar game, and it seemed like it wasn't even a year later they were coming out with the Dreamcast, and I was like, you know what, Sega, I don't have any more money. I'm done with this at this point. But yeah, I Sega kind of burned me on buying hardware for one or two games. So I'm glad to see that they're working on a Horizon game for the PSVR 2. And if they're going to do, like, let's say they announce it closer to launch, a God of War, ground up built game for the VR, that would be awesome as well. And by all means, please make it so Gran Turismo is completely compatible with this VR headset. And then at that point, I'm probably going to cough up the 400 or 500. Ugh. $500 for the headset. But at this point, I'm more leaning towards getting VR for my PC and putting dollars together as far as
Yeah.
do I want to pony up and go with Valve and spend $1,000, or go with something that's more like the Quest 2, where it's a lot more reasonable, somewhere between the 300 to 500 range, depending on the upgrades with batteries and whatnot,
Yeah.
type of deal.
I'm about to make you feel really old. I've never seen a Dreamcast in my life.
What? Yeah, that's crazy.
I haven't seen a Dreamcast in real life either, but it was like when that was being announced, I was already kind of burned out with Sega. So it was just like, and I'm kicking myself because I think when I bought the house, I thought I kept all my my Sega Master System and Sega Genesis and Sega Saturn. I thought I kept those when we moved, and I went to look for them like months ago, and it's like I can't find them. I hope I didn't just throw those out and bring.
When it came out, I was in kindergarten.
Oh well, yeah. See, you would definitely
Floor
wouldn't.
Hugger, we were doing
I'm
so well
old.
here. We were
I
doing
know, right?
so well
I know, right?
until you just brought
Christ.
that up. This was great. PTK, it's been a great show.
I know,
I
right?
gotta go.
I think it's my
played-
nap time now.
Yeah.
Played tons of the games. I've even played on a Commodore 64, and I know how to do all that stuff. But I've never seen it in my real life.
Oh no, it's
Wow.
okay. It's okay. I had one as a kid. I was one of the few that actually was able to get one. I begged for one. Mom was able to get me one day one, so it was awesome. So yeah, you had to be there. It was one of those kind of situations, but it got buried. I mean, it got buried behind all of the bad shit Sega did, previously. So
Yeah.
it was way ahead of its time, way ahead of its time. And they worked with Microsoft to make that console work. It had I think was it a special version of Windows, I believe.
Windows CE.
Windows
Yes.
CE, yeah.
Yep.
Windows
Dreamcast
CE, so-
was Xbox, man.
Yeah, pretty much. It was pre-Xbox, yeah. So, but okay. So no. Let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, before we move on to the next topic, brother.
Man, PlayStation VR. What can I say that already hasn't been said? As soon as I saw this being spoke about, I just completely was just VR is just not for me. The only game that's ever made me want to play VR was Vader Immortal. Still haven't played VR. I'm one of those that are holding out for my Star Trek holodeck, where I get to walk into a room and basically the whole room is just one giant video game, almost like Ready Player One, but without the suit. PlayStation VR, where to start on that? It's, to me, I'm kind of curious on how well it's going to do. Pong mentioned it first. We're already talking about a hard to obtain console through the PS5, and they already said that VR. The guy that used to run PlayStation already called PlayStation, console gaming niche, and now we're talking about a niche in VR. And I'm curious on just how much of a demand there's going to be. But I like what Fuzzy said about the PC side of things. If that headset is definitely compatible with PC, it would completely change the demand for that product, because heck, I think there's more PCs right now that would want a VR headset than there would be PlayStation 5s. Definitely it's going to be interesting with the fact that it's on a USB-C on a cord. Obviously we're now using the PlayStation to obviously do the processing power. We're not using like the Oculus Quest, where it's more like it's more powered by Android software that's actually in the device. The PlayStation actually has to do some of the computing for it. So if it was PC compatible, I'm curious on how that would work. There's definitely a lot of questions that are going into this. What's the price going to be? What are we already know that there's going to be a library there of VR games, but what is Sony exactly cooking up that's going to be next gen when it comes to VR? I did like hearing about some of the features, though, like a little bit of the haptic feedback, putting basically rumble in the headset itself to give you the sense of your character's heartbeat during stressful situations. there's definitely a lot of interesting tech going into it. I'm glad to see that they've removed the PlayStation, basically all the lights that were needed for it to be seen. I don't think you need a camera this one, right, Fuzzy? Pong, anybody?
I think the camera, it's what internalized. It's got the eye tracking, so you don't have to worry
Yeah,
about having to set
you
the
don't.
camera.
Yeah, you don't got to
Yeah.
set up all the lights and
Wow.
everything that were needed for the original PS headset, like all the blue lights that made you look like you were pretty much getting ready to go on a Tron. Um, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see the longevity of this product. I'm glad that PlayStation hasn't let it fall to the wayside with some of their other things that they've poured a lot of money into, like the Vita and the PSP. Um, now that I want to say that is probably one of the real reasons why Sony is pushing ahead with PSVR, because not to bring up a bad subject, but I feel that more copies of Days Gone were sold than a PSVR. And we all saw that Days Gone did not warrant a sequel, but we're seeing a PSVR 2 sequel. And that's where I'm really seeing that Sony's wanting to push forward with this purely because it is something that makes them stand out. They are still technically the only at-home console manufacturer that actually has a VR headset that goes along with their console. Xbox has stayed completely out of the VR scene, and I feel that PlayStation, at least right now, does not want to lose that form of mind share and keeping the PSVR alive, because that is added value to the PlayStation console, the PlayStation ecosystem, that you are still able to play VR on the console.
No, I think that's a great breakdown. That last part makes a whole lot of sense, and that's why I think when people talk about the VR space, it is a space that's growing. It's a slow burn. That's what I would say when you're talking about the VR space. You know, I don't want to disrespect the community because Lord knows they go crazy over there in that VR community. So, but I don't want to. Like I said, it's a growing technology. It's not quite where I would like it to be at. Just personally, I played PlayStation VR extensively and it's fun, but you know, obviously it's still not quite the experience for me personally that still a controller and a nice big screen TV gives me. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Shout out to everybody in chat. Bunty, Zinc, I see you falling in here, brother. Appreciate you every single week, man. We're talking a little bit about Ubisoft Plus coming to Xbox. Now, when they first tweeted this out, there was a bit of confusion. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. I'm gonna give you the floor. No pun intended, floor hugger. But so they tweeted out essentially coming to Game Pass or essentially just coming to Xbox. Very vague, and we're like, okay, is it the actual coming to Game Pass? Is it all part of that, or is it coming as a standalone app? Come to find out, it is a standalone app for now. They did say there's going to be some future details, so obviously there's some things that they're working on down the line. Now I'm gonna just give my quick opinion, then the floor is yours, floor hugger. So I ultimately think, and we've talked about this in DMs here on the Shop Podcast, that this is I think it's a testing ground. I do think that I just don't think it's going to survive on its own, because EA Play started out on its own as just a standalone app, and it ended up right in Game Pass a month or two later. So I do think that there's room now. Ubisoft, I've heard, since they've done a survey asking about tiers and things like that, that may be a thing to look at. Maybe a lower tier of Ubisoft Plus gets you a Game Pass subscription as well. Then the higher tier, maybe it's kind of a standalone thing. Maybe they can work something out like that. But I'm going to start with you, Floor Hugger, just about another quality app coming to the Xbox ecosystem in general. And do you think it will end up as part of Game Pass later on in the future?
I think it has to at this point.
I agree. I think it has to.
I love Ubisoft games. Assassin's Creed flows through my blood. Aside, I haven't bought Valhalla yet, but Valhalla is still like a super expensive. It's like $130 for the Ultimate Edition over here. I think it has to, because as much as we love Ubisoft games, they do kind of follow a formula. So to have them on Game Pass, and I would like it to be like an EA thing, but not with the tiers. But if they have to bring in tiers, cool, whatever. But I just want to see Ubisoft games on Game Pass. Save me some money, man.
No, I agree. I think, I mean, in general, I think the sentiment that you just brought up, and this is the key thing here, people. Let's be honest, right? I mean, Ubisoft is a great company, but they have fallen back into their ways. They've fallen back into their ways of kind of sticking to what works, sticking to the formula, and it seemed to have bit them in the butt again, essentially. Like this, if they do another Assassin's Creed, it better be something phenomenal because I don't think people are going to be looking forward to it like they have the previous few just because people are starting to realize, oh, this is just Ubi doing what Ubi always does. You know, we thought they were going somewhere else, and they were like, nah, we're not. We're really just kind of following trends here. But either way, I do think it's very interesting to see. I think it has to go in game. I think at some point it has to. I don't know how. I mean, knowing Ubisoft, their games, I just don't know. Like on its own, it doesn't make sense to me. Like not for very long, at least. Like it just makes sense
No.
to be part of Game Pass. Like why wouldn't you do it now? Another thing too, I'm gonna throw over to you, Floor Hugger. Does that mean a Game Pass price hike? Are you okay with that?
I mean, not for if they're gonna bring in Ubisoft, no, for a price hike. Honestly,
Okay, that's fair.
I love Ubisoft games. I really what I want is it to do with it. Did EA games is bring in people because maybe that'll inspire Ubisoft to get off their ass and finish Skull and Bones or even start it. I don't even know where it is, and bring Beyond Good and Evil 2 back because that is I don't know where that is either.
It's with
I
Skull
just
and Bones.
oh yeah, they're having some coffee saying
Yeah.
nah, we're good. I don't know. Ubisoft has a lot of good games, but let's be honest. There's two of them that are very similar, and they're both set in the same world in Valhalla or Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs. Yeah, it's a lot of the same repetitive gameplay, and I don't know a lot of people that are gonna be down for a price hike if they don't play those games either.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing too. A lot of those games people have already played. And let's not act like, I mean, Ubisoft doesn't have a ton of momentum going into like this next year or two. Like, let's be
No.
honest, they don't have the ton of momentum. Like, I'm not really looking forward to much that they're coming out with. I mean, they kind of, I'm a big Division fan. Me and Fuzz, shout out on the podcast.
Division's a great
So,
game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Me and Fuzz are huge Division fans. 1 and 2. We put hundreds of hours in Division 2, and they've pretty much just completely
gave up.
ignored it. Completely ignored it. They announced Homeland and then said nothing else about it since. You know, so it's just one of them things where, go ahead.
If they, because I know going forward, they do have Hyperscape, which if anybody forgot, Hyperscape is still a thing. It's the free-to-play battle royale. I want to say Quarantine, but they changed Extraction, Ghost
Yeah.
Recon. They're going to be moving forward with the Assassin's Creed, always the open universe. So it's like always open now. It's not specific games. So I think this may have been a bit of a hasty thing, but maybe they're looking for a little bit more cash infusion. I don't know how that would work out, but a little bit more cash to get this Assassin's Creed always open world kind of going. And if that's the case, make it free to play, and I'll then be okay with the price hike because Phantasy Star is on Game Pass, and there was no price hike for that. So,
yeah, okay. No, I mean, ultimately, like I said, at the end of the day, it's a tough sell for me by itself. I just can't, and this is just me talking. And we'll get to Pong here, we'll get to Fuzz and Centurion. Matter of fact, we're gonna throw this over to you next, Centurion. But that's a tough sell for me by itself. By itself, I'm like, nah, I wouldn't even look at it by itself because I just don't think that they have any momentum as a developer, as a publisher. Like they don't have any momentum. Like I'm not looking forward to anything Ubi really, so it's not really that appealing. I think it'd be a great addition to Game Pass, but just as a standalone, I don't know. Go ahead.
if you say you play Ubisoft games back to back, you're a psychopath because that is crazy to me. You gonna play Watch Dogs, and then you gonna play Valhalla, and then you gonna play a Far Cry. If you play the same game back to back, we need to talk, baby. Are you okay?
So this is
What
so
about
shout
that time I binged all the Assassin's Creed games, like the
So-
Ezio collection?
So shout out to other.
Oh.
I was just
Zink in
gonna
the
say,
chat.
when can I go ahead and schedule a talk there for Hugger? Because I'm gonna need to talk to you about
anytime, baby. 'cause I'm worried now.
So shout out to other Zink in the chat. One of my just loyal people here that's always here hanging out, showing the support. He said, "What more do you want?" It's not necessarily what I want.
No.
So it's not what I want, Zink. It's just that they don't. I mean, let's look at what's going on with Ubi. They don't really look like they have much direction, Zink. They make great games. I'm not saying that they don't make great games. I'm just not excited about where they're going. Not even necessarily the direction the games are going. I'm just
They
don't.
got a couple of good ones in the oven that have gone dark for a while, and we'll probably get to see some more come E3. Like, don't forget Avatar, although it's not a game that I'm looking forward to, but it's made by Massive, the same guys that make Division, so I'm going to give it a chance. That same group is also doing Star Wars, so there's that. And another one that they have in the oven, what was it?
And it's not that we're not excited for Ubisoft games. I play them. Obviously, I'm not excited for Ubisoft games to be in a price hike for Game Pass.
Yeah, no, I just that's me. Like I said,
they make Just Dance too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And there's Splinter Cell. I know there's always rumors about Splinter Cell, but there's Splinter Cell, and it seems more credible this time. So,
well, they made the official press release. Come on,
yeah. I mean, we don't. I mean, even still, we got to hold on here. We can't still jump to conclusions. I mean,
Skull and Bones got an official press release.
I mean, come on now. So, but either way, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. I want to get your opinion here. Then we'll throw it to Pong and Fuzz.
Oh man. Okay, I remember when I saw all this, we were actually chatting in the Twitter DM. It was actually a very confusing time for everybody. Is it coming to Game Pass? Is it not coming to Game Pass? We've got Ubisoft waving at Game Pass. So at least from what I've been able to read, determine, it doesn't seem that it's actually coming to Game Pass. It just seems like Ubisoft is wanting to launch Ubisoft Plus as a standalone subscription service right next to Game Pass. From what I heard, it's like $15 on the PC. Now that's where I would be like, I ain't paying $30 a month for. I'm not. Xbox offers their games plus EA's games plus all these other games for $15 a month. I'm not going to pay an extra $15 just to have access to Ubisoft. I would settle for like $19.99 if we were able to combine them together. That's just to have. I'm an Ubisoft fan. I've enjoyed what they've done in the past. Apparently I'm a psychopath because yes, I've grinded out. I went Assassin's Creed Origins. I've done. God, I went to Odyssey. Yeah, Assassin's Creed Origins, went straight to Odyssey. Played the Ezio collection back to back, all 3 games. I love playing Ubisoft games. But that being said, and with what other Zink said in the chat, if we all take a look at what Ubisoft is offering for the future, with a lot of games that seem to be geared towards games as a service, battle royale style games, very large multiplayer-esque, way more multiplayer-esque than the Division, because I enjoy the Division. But it seems, in my opinion, because of the route that Ubisoft is wanting to take some of the franchises, I'm very trepidatious over what they are going to do to the Assassin's Creed franchise by trying to make it like an open world universe. I'm very curious on how that's going to work out in the long run. But that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if they're wanting to use Game Pass in the future as a platform to launch some of these games. We saw how it worked for Outriders. We see it now with Alien Fireteam Elite. A lot of people I see that starting to pop up in the social media space, like on Twitter, people talking about playing that now. Game Pass also helped out before even Bethesda was purchased by Xbox. they put ESO in Game Pass, and I still remember walking around ESO before that happened, and the player base was pretty low. And then all of a sudden it's in Game Pass, and you've just noticed that there's always new people coming in and out of the game now because it's just there for you to download and play and check out. I'm excited for Rainbow Six Extraction. I played Rainbow Six Siege extremely heavily. I enjoyed that style of gaming while I could play it before my wife had to basically have an intervention and cut me off because that game breeds absolute aggression and hatred.
Yep.
And that's why me and my buddies are definitely looking forward to Extraction. I mean, yeah, it is. No, wait, is it called Extraction?
Yes.
I
Rainbow
know
Six
it was
Extraction.
originally,
Rainbow Six
yeah.
Extraction. Yeah.
Because
It was
now
originally
I'm
Quarantine,
quarantine,
but they
yeah,
changed the
Yeah, they
name.
changed that. Yeah. They had to change
But
that
They're
real
like,
quick.
oh, bad idea.
well, that too. But if anybody remembers, this was pretty much a spinoff of the event that was on Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah.
In Rainbow Six Siege, I forget, it was a few years ago. For 1 month, you were able to play the game in the New Mexico setting. And there was still some premises where I remember one of the first missions, we had to basically go rescue Jaeger. And like, I mean, this game in the event, I don't know if you guys have watched any of the trailers. This is going to be extremely, extremely intense. I mean, like these aliens are going to throw everything they got at you. The aliens I think there's like 13 different types. They're going to get into different difficulties. Some of them are what they call apex enemies, where they're pretty much the leaders, the big brutes, the flying thing with tentacles. Like, this game got insanely intense. I mean, me and my friends played Siege heavily, and we're like, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk. It's PvE. No, it was not. It was not at all. And that's where we're all looking forward to what's going on with Extinction. Extraction. I keep calling it Extinction because of the Extinction game. There's also that in Game
Oh,
Pass.
yeah.
We see that being used in Second Extinction. There it is. That's another game
Yep.
that's gotten a good boost from being included in Game Pass. So we could see how Game Pass really helps out game types that are fueled as games as a service, because it's a good platform for this. I believe this is why Ubisoft is eyeballing the service, because they're wanting to see how well this can help push forward their new direction when it comes to the direction that they want to take some of these game franchises. Now, whether or not I agree with them taking these directions that they are, that's a different story, but Ubisoft definitely wants to give this the best chance they have at succeeding, and Game Pass could definitely be a way of achieving that. And I'm really hoping now that Extraction being in Game Pass is going to be a big boost, because, you know, I keep up with Dealer Gaming. That game was not on his radar at all. He did not want to play Rainbow Six Extraction, and now all of a sudden it's in Game Pass and he's wanting to check it out. We're starting to see a lot of people wanting to check out Extraction because it's now going to be literally at their fingertips for no additional charge. And I'm really hoping that this is going to now create a much larger player base for me and my friends to enjoy playing this game with, and also help keep this game going forward. I really enjoyed the pandemic event that, like, you guys were talking about it originally being called, but now it's Extraction. We all been demanding for that event to come back. And when we heard that it wasn't going to come back, but it was going to be a full-fledged standalone experience game, I got excited for that. And now I'm just waiting for this game to drop, because I'm ready to dive back into Rainbow Six Siege before my wife finds out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's go and get this over to Pong. So Pong, where you at on this, man? We, like you said, it was extremely confusing when they first announced it. We had no idea what the hell was going on. I didn't know whether it was this huge groundbreaking, or this huge groundbreaking announcement, or if it was just, something random. But either way, where you at on this overall? Where do you think it can stand on its own, or are you the advocate of it being put in Game Pass at some point in time?
Well, I've had a lot to talk about on different shows about this since the week went on here. So my kind of got all my thoughts settled into place here. So let's talk about Ubisoft Plus. This is a bigger move than it first appears to be. There's going to be stuff that comes down the line from this deal. Eventually, potentially having it move into Game Pass is certainly a possibility. But I think overall, what you're seeing here is the lines being drawn in the sand between different companies. And I think that we're seeing a strengthening of partnerships, both from Xbox and from PlayStation, with their favorite companies. And that's because as Sony moves into this space with Spartacus and creates their own kind of Game Pass, again, we talked about that. It's not going to be one for one out of the gate, but they are going to do deals just like Game Pass to get third parties to put their games in there. And obviously, Square Enix, which we may talk about, is going to be one of their main partners, as it has been for decades, but they are strengthening that relationship over on that side. So Xbox is doing the same over here. We saw a deal with Sega put into place, and that friendship continued to grow. Obviously, EA is already in there, and now we see Ubisoft Plus at least coming onto the system. Now, when we're talking about specifics, how it's going to start, it would have been very simple in that presser if it was going to come out at $15 like it is on PC.
Mm-hmm.
They could have easily said that in that presser. Okay, they could have said date to be announced later. Talk to you all soon. You know, Ubisoft Play or Ubisoft Plus coming to Xbox, $15 per month. It would have been easy to do that. They didn't do that because things are being worked out in the background with themselves and with Xbox, I believe, for a tiered system to start out. Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, I can 90% guarantee you are going to have a discounted price on that service. So I think it comes in at between $5 and $10 per month for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. And I think that's going to be the way that they try to get some people to subscribe. And then I think that there's also the potential that Ubisoft right now is working out a new tier, a vault system, much like EA, where their older games drop into a vault and are available. And that vault might be available to Game Pass Ultimate subscribers with no extra cost out the gate as well. Again, when we talk about Ubisoft Plus, people have to remember we're not talking about like EA Play as it currently stands on Xbox, where we just get the base games. We're talking about the games plus all the DLC. And shout out to Floorhugger and everybody else who lives in these other countries with these ridiculous prices on gaming. This hobby is already expensive enough. I'm already a budget gamer. I can't imagine having to make decisions on those types of prices. So there's a big time value here for fans of Ubisoft. Ubisoft for me is my fast food of publishers, right? I always know what I'm going to get. You know what? It's not going to be the greatest meal of all time that I've ever had that I spent, $200-$300 on. But I know that when I go there, I'm going to be satisfied and it's going to be good. And Ubisoft is solid at doing that. Ubisoft,
That's true.
That's the way I am with their game. I just know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get value out of them, right? And with the DLC included, for an extra $5 to $10 for me personally, I'm in. Okay, now if it comes out at $15 a month, that's when it becomes the type of service where when their game launches, you drop into and then you cancel that subscription after you're done with that game. That's what they don't want to have happen. And I think that they realize that they become an expendable service where people are just going to buy when their new stuff comes out and then leave as soon as that new stuff is done. And I think that's why they're going to give us a discount for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers and to entice us to keep the subscription going. And for $5 to $10 a month, even though I own a lot of the Ubisoft stuff already, I still would do it. It'd still be worth it for some of the DLC that I have not picked up previously, and for all the games that obviously Fuzzy alluded to that are coming out. I would stick with it. I would add that to my, my Game Pass, my budget, and say, okay, it's worth it for me for all of it. And so that's where I'm at personally with it. Again, as far as the business side of things goes between these two companies, it's a strengthening of relationships. Ubisoft is a wounded animal right now. They've been floundering for quite a while, trying to figure out how to navigate this new industry. They see all these people, all these, competitors making a ton of money off games as a service and free to play games. And they wanted to jump into that, but they didn't really have a good plan or an idea of how to execute that and how to make it work with their current IP, because their fan base, look, they've got some of the biggest IPs in gaming history when you talk about it. Okay. They really do. Now they've destroyed some of it. They destroyed a lot of it. But at the end of the day, those names still draw people. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for as many complaints as people had about it, for being too long, too much, all this, I'm getting over open world sickness and all this kind of stuff. Look, it still sold extremely well. And without Ubisoft, the beginning of current gen, when those systems launched, would have been really dry without them. They have been really good at updating their games for free and keeping them up to date, giving us 60 frames on the older games. They've done a lot of good things there, but they still can't figure out the formula. However, EA, Capcom, those types of companies have started to give them a better plan. And I think they're starting to look at that. And I know I understand why you are still holding back, PTK, and why you are very cautious when it comes to Ubisoft and what they're doing going forward. Look, there's no question we're going to get games as a service. There's no question we're going to get free-to-play games that are monetized. There's no question that they may take Assassin's Creed and attempt to turn it into an open world style game, an ever living game that we've seen so often. There's no question that they may do that because they want to try to find that moneymaker. However, I think with the announcements of Splinter Cell, with Avatar, with these types of games, I think they've seen that EA and Capcoms of the world have found that balance. And I think that they're moving to a more balanced setup at this point. So we're going to get the other stuff. We're going to get the monetized games. We're going to get that garbage. But I think they're still committed internally to giving us some single player experiences that may live on for a bit with DLC, but ultimately are just a contained single player experience. And I think that that's what they're going to do. With Splinter Cell, they have the opportunity to give us a fantastic remake of a very beloved IP that has gone missing for over a generation and bring it back as a single player experience, one with DLC, whatever the case may be, and then go ahead and create the Spies versus Mercs and monetize the hell out of it on the multiplayer side. Okay. They have the opportunity to do that. And I think that's what ultimately they will go for. But I think that making this deal with Xbox gives them instant eyes on all of their IP, and there's no price that can be put on that. We talked about this many, many times, that Game Pass gets to the point where you cannot, even if you're we already know the smaller devs and the indie devs cannot ignore Game Pass. There's a line to get onto Game Pass with your game because of the instant credibility it gives you, the instant advertising it gives you, the instant access to 25, 30, 35 million people, whatever it's at currently, right there and then. And I think that Ubisoft and the bigger publishers are starting to catch on to that. And I think eventually Game Pass gets so big that they can't ignore it, especially with the multiplayer games. So you give your IP a fresh chance on this system. We saw it with Sega with the Yakuzas. Look, they dropped them in there, found great success. We saw it with Ubisoft directly when they went ahead and updated Division 2, and all of a sudden they saw an explosion of Division 2 playing again, right? And unfortunately, they squandered it, but they still saw those numbers, right? There was a time when half my friends list was playing Division 2 again. We all were jumping back into it, right? And so I think that they understand that doing this kind of deal, getting their games into this ecosystem with a chance for the Game Pass Ultimate subscribers and Game Pass subscribers to add this onto their subscription is going to ultimately be beneficial to them in the long run. People can go back and play the old Splinter Cells before the new Splinter Cell remake comes out. All that good stuff that we know works is right there. And then you've got a game like Extraction. Extraction obviously did not hit the way they wanted it to hit when they first announced it. The hype levels were kind of low. Everybody was like, well, for the Rainbow Six people, the Siege people that played that special event, they were hyped for this, right? This is what they wanted this back again. But then they said, well, $60. And everybody was like, wait, $60? You want me to spend $60 on this game? Okay, now I got to think about it. So what do? They dropped the price to $40. Okay, those fans were like, all right, that's much better. A little bit easier pill to swallow. Okay, fine. But overall, to everybody else, it was like, ooh, all these games I've got to play. Am I really going to spend money to fit Rainbow Six Extraction into that? Am I going to really? I got so many other co-op multiplayer games that I can jump into right now. Why would I spend money? Are all my friends going to spend the money to do this? Are we going to actually put, the time and commitment into this? And so then it became just really kind of a meh moment for Ubisoft, right? It just didn't hit. So what do? You take advantage of Game Pass and what it can create for multiplayer games, multiplayer co-op games, which we've seen bunches of times now. Outriders squandered their position. They had a chance to make that game something really cool. It got a lot of hype for about a month. And then when they didn't fix the issues, it fell flat. But for that month, it was the hottest thing going. We've seen it with Second Extinction. Second Extinction dropped out of nowhere, kind of a AA co-op multiplayer game. People wouldn't have necessarily gone out and spent money on that game, but dropping into Game Pass, people got to try it and had a great time. I personally had a great time with Second Extinction when we were playing it with friends, right? So we've seen this work. Now you bring in a AAA budget game, a Ubisoft, which we know will be polished, coming into Game Pass that gives it that instant base of players that it needs. And it's going to be multi-plat, so it's going to be elsewhere. So what you need is that word of mouth coming out of Game Pass. All of a sudden, all it takes is a little spark. If it comes out and it's really good and it can carve itself a space amongst the Game Pass players, then all of a sudden you got everybody talking about it. All of a sudden that friends list, you start going through that friends list, and all of a sudden you start seeing more and more people playing Extraction. All of a sudden that ripple effect happens. All of a sudden the PlayStation people start hearing about how good Extraction is. Maybe people are streaming it on PC. You get that coverage as well. All of a sudden this becomes a multiplayer co-op game that started out with little hype, and all of a sudden it catches a little bit of fire. And all of a sudden, now you got people buying into it. Now you got people purchasing some of the DLC, some of the monetization, the clothes, the customization, all that kind of stuff. People start buying that. All of a sudden, now you got yourself a little fan base. That's all they need, and Game Pass gives you a great opportunity to do that. Plus, it's a win for Xbox because we know this year is still a year where they're not going to be able to have the cadence of releases that they want from their first party. Eventually, Phil has talked about one every quarter as far as a AAA game dropping from a first party. That's going to start to happen next year, I believe. But this year, they're still going to be light on this first half of the year. Summertime, into fall, into winter, they don't have anything to worry about. It's going to be another just home run fest during that time. However, right now they do still have to fill in the blanks. And I think that the billions of dollars that they have set aside for Game Pass that Jeff Grubb alluded to on his show previously is going to be spent a lot in this beginning part of this year, especially. And obviously Extraction fills that need right there, right away, out the gate. January, you got a AAA, big publisher, one of their new games coming out. Yeah, it's been done before, but it's still got that kind of special feeling to it when it drops in the Game Pass. Everybody is just a download away, a click away from joining your friends, from being able to hop in that game and experience something different that you may not have been able to experience back when they first did it on Rainbow Six Siege for a special occasion. So I think that that's a win-win for both sides. And like I said, it's overall a strengthening of the relationship when it comes to Ubisoft. This deal is going to have more ramifications down the road. I can see it eventually being rolled into Game Pass. We know eventually Game Pass will have a price increase. When and where, I don't know. Probably sometime after they get to some mark. Maybe not for a while. So maybe not until 2024. But at some point it will. But I think that's when you can roll Ubisoft Plus into there. Because again, looking into the crystal ball, the future is going to be content when it comes to these subscriptions. Not just games, but overall content. So the more options you have, the better it is. And you can't have 150 subscription services out there from all these different developers and publishers and expect everybody to go ahead and sign up for them. That's not going to work. There's going to be consolidation of these different subscription services like we're seeing on the entertainment side. And I think overall it's a bigger conversation, but overall down the road with Sony jumping in with their movies and music, I think eventually we're going to see more consolidation just as entertainment as a whole. But right now you just need to have different offerings. Sony's going to have their companies that they work with, their partners that they say, hey, come over to whatever Spartacus winds up being called. Hey, come over here because we can give you this, and this. And Xbox is going to be over here with Game Pass saying, yeah, we got this. We got Ubisoft titles. We got EA titles. We got these different options over here for you. So jump into our service. And that's where the competition is really going to start to heat up down the road. So this is the first part of that play. And we heard the smoke going into last year that this was happening. And I'm glad to finally see it happening. Yeah, I wish it was in Game Pass somehow directly. I still think that we might get a vault put in there like EA, but this is a start. And I think that this is something that could potentially evolve into something bigger down the road. So I love it. I love the idea, and I'm all for it.
All right, Fuzz, let's go ahead and wrap this up, man.
As far as the subscription deal, like as we already talked about, I'm already a huge fan of Ubisoft games in general, their Tom Clancy series in particular. More so Ghost Recon Wildlands over Breakpoint and Division 1 and 2, although I've probably put way more hours in Division 1 overall. But there was a ban that happened in 2, so that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I think a $5 bump in Game Pass Ultimate for me would be fine. But there's some caveats to it. With Ubisoft Plus, the big thing that they push is that it's going to be day and date, and I guess it's like maybe $3 more. You can get all the DLC, so you're basically getting the $100 to $150 versions for the subscription price. I can do without the DLCs because if it's just adding into my subscription, I can figure out what DLCs I want to buy or if I even want to buy them at all. And it makes it more likely that I'll put, maybe $10 into cosmetics or some of the in-game currency for some of the cosmetics and things like that. So I would love to see a merger or like an add-on, even if it's just a $5 bump. Anything more than the $5 bump at that point, I mean, given how things have been spaced out with Ubisoft's releases, I already own everything that I want from them. So it would be a bit of a gap, and I would probably wait until they, have a date for the Star Wars game or Division 3 or something along those lines type of deal. But overall, I think their best bet is to kind of do what EA did. And if it's just a vault version, or maybe it's day and date, but you get the base game for the $5 bump, I would be all for that. But I think, like Pong said, they are a wounded animal. They do have their own internal struggles, not just in making games, but other, harassment related things that they still need to get, through and get resolved. But I guess the big thing for me is I would not have looked at Extraction at all. Like it looks like you're playing Rainbow Six with against aliens, which interesting concept, just not a concept I'm interested in. But with it being in Game Pass day and date, I'll give it a try because that's the beauty of Game Pass. You'll give things a try that you may not have normally done, and I've done that with quite a few games, and in fact, some of them were my games of the year, like with Psychonauts 2.
Psychonauts 2, I was gonna say
on my radar, but hey, in Game Pass, I'll try it. Loved it. Actually purchased it. Yes, I know it's always going to be in Game Pass, but I figured I'd purchase it because I don't know if I'm gonna always have a Game Pass subscription. Just you never know. So, but anyway, just in general, Ubisoft, the standalone is definitely not for me. Like I said, I own most of the Ubisoft games that were already on my radar. Like if this was done like a year or so ago, maybe it'd be a different story when before the release of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, before Watch Dogs Legions, before Far Cry 6, before Riders Republic and things like that, maybe that standalone subscription would be acceptable for me. But a lot of those games, like I said, I already bought day one, and usually bought the Ultimate Edition, like I did for Watch Dogs and Valhalla. So, yeah, it's. I'm hoping they work towards getting some sort of, whether it be a tier system or some sort of blend with Ultimate, because I'm as a cable cutter or a cord cutter, I guess you could say, I I don't want to have like 15 subscriptions. Like, I know people are like, "Oh, well, don't you have Netflix and Hulu and all?" I just have Netflix and Hulu. I'll only do Disney if the family agrees we're going to get rid of Hulu. It's not a budget thing. It's just I've I'm not going to pay 15 different people for 15 different services. It's like I'll narrow it down to like 2 or 3 if possible, but we're not going all out. As someone that used to have like every cable channel back in the day, I'm never doing that business again, because I was always that guy that would have every channel but only watch 10 or 15 of them. It's like I'm not wasting money like that like I used to. So but not saying that the subscription's a waste by any means, but it just at least for me, given that I already either own the games or will buy the games outright, it's not as appealing. But as an add-on, yeah, it's definitely appealing. But above all that, Game Pass needs a family plan, like ASAP. I got 2 kids, both with their own gaming rigs and their cell phones to do xCloud. So game share only goes but so far, and I'm tired of doing, well, even though yes, I know I can do Microsoft reward points, having 3 Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions is a bit more than what I was originally looking to spend. But that's just me.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And I like you threw in the family pass at the end there. If anybody from Xbox is listening, that's a great damn idea. But let's go ahead and move on to the final topic of today's show. We appreciate everybody rocking out with us in the chat. Appreciate everybody hanging out. What's up, Mav, Zinc? Seeing you guys still hanging out here, man. Thank you so much. So let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about E3 2022 now. It was just announced that E3 2022 will be another digital event, which for me, after seeing what I saw last year from Xbox, I mean, we know that they can put on a show, so I'm not super upset about it. Obviously, things going on with COVID and all of that. I don't want to get into the, too far left here with that. But ultimately, I think it was a great idea. I think that Xbox did prove last year that you can put on a great show, because they really did. They carried E3, let's be honest. I mean, their E3, their presentation was so much better, in my opinion, than everyone else's. It wasn't even funny. It wasn't even close. But I do think that Summer Games is now in year 2, and we'll see what Jeff does. He always seems to do better than the previous years. Look at the VGAs. So I'm curious to see how that turns out with him. But we'll start with you, Floor Hugger. We're just E3 2022 being in all digital. We were all hoping that it was going to be in person. I know I was, at least, because I had planned on going to the one in 2020 before they, obviously everything started going. But where you at on just the event being digital? You still excited for it? And, any surprises?
Oh yeah, I think I'll always be excited because I don't actually know if I'll ever be able to afford to go because it's so expensive to go down there.
Yeah.
So I've watched it for 10, 15 years online, covering it and doing it. I'm glad that they are taking the precautions to protect people, because let's be honest, people don't even shower at some of these conventions. So you kind of gotta protect people from themselves. So I'm all for protecting people, because this Panasonic is really kind of taking its toll, and the more we can have shows that are digital, and we might bitch and complain, but the more we can have shows like this, the more we can like be at home and protect each other for when we do go back to physical shows. We do go to PAX, we do go to QuakeCon and E3. So I'm all for it. It means I don't have to put pants on too, so I'm down. No
Absolutely. A lot
pants.
of perks. Yeah, no pants perks. That was the one that took it over the top for me too. I agree. But either way,
No pants.
either way, I think I mean, once again, I think NA proved last year that you can put on a solid show. Like I said, I'm very, very interested to see what Keeley does, because to give him credit, the VGAs has gotten better year over year. It has
Yeah.
improved in small ways. So I'm curious to see in year 2 what he does with that, as far as how he's going to put that show together and what he's able to secure as far as what we're going to see. So I agree with you, Floor Hugger. Obviously, the biggest thing here is safety for everyone. Outside of that, I think last year proved that it could still be a great show. I think there was a lot of like so-so shows.
Yeah.
And I think people will do better this year. You got to remember, people are still getting used to things at that point. So I think this year is hopefully going to be a bit better all across the board. But I agree with you for the most part, Florida. So let's actually go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. We talked about this a little bit. I think there was a lot of hope that by this year there would be an in-person E3. That was, it was still pretty far-fetched at the time. Even coming into this year with things getting a bit better, we still thought it would be a bit sketchy. Now knowing that it won't be, I'm not really concerned at all. I still think it's a fun event. I still get just as excited. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I know I was.
I'll admit I was a little disappointed, and it's just me being selfish. I really wanted to go to an in-person show this go around, but given what's going on, I totally understand and appreciate that they're taking the extra precaution. But I would have wanted to go, but hey, I'm still looking forward to E3. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, Sony decides to bless us with their presence this go around. But it would have been nice if it was in person, but there's safety that's more of a priority than just having a show where you can wind up having a lot of people get sick or whatnot. So it's in the grand scheme of things, it's for the best. But fingers crossed. Maybe next year, hopefully we'll kick the Panasonic bucket or something. But for the most part, disappointed, but totally understand, and it's for the better. That's all.
So a quick question so what do you think about Keeley, man? Do you think this I mean, he generally gets a bit better the following year, so do you is that kind of the expectation?
I think he will get even better, although I think the biggest thing is if he takes some of the criticism from like the VGAs and doesn't try to have I know commercialization or funding is going to be a key thing, but some of the commercials that they had or Amazon squeezed in things or Verizon squeezed in things seemed a little out of place. So as long as he doesn't do too much of that, I think it'll go without a hitch type of deal. But I think he will make an improvement, but honestly, I just wish whatever gripes they have behind closed doors, he and whoever's in charge over at E3 could get something worked out. So it's not like, oh, we have split shows, which by the way, the split shows wasn't bad. It was actually a good thing that, you have something a little bit later after E3 and then things like prior to E3 and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff being filled in and, a lot more like smaller devs get, their stuff shown where it would normally get buried if it was just, just one show coverage type of deal. But I think he will improve and it hopefully will be more exciting, but it would be nice if there was like a gentleman's agreement, I guess you could say, where they worked out a schedule, they're not stepping on each other's toes and everybody's happy type of thing. But
okay.
We'll see.
All right, well, let's go ahead and throw this over to Pong. Just get your quick opinion on just E3 2022. And, obviously, I think we're all just starting off with safety being the main concern here. But outside of that, just where you at, you still super excited. I mean, I think we live in speculation town here at the Shop Podcast. Welcome. We're like the stop before a second, before you get to speculation town. So just go ahead and give us a quick breakdown on just where you at with E3 2022, Pong.
Yeah, no, again, all things considered, they got to do what they got to do. So, they did it and they announced it early. And I think that as we saw last year, there was still some, not so good showings at E3. I'll put that out there. However, I think a lot of the companies have gotten used to this now. They have done a much better job preparing for this. And obviously knowing it this early will give them a lot more time to get their houses in order and make sure that they have things ready. And I think that with a showing from what we saw from Xbox last year and the reception that it received, even the smaller publishers and devs and stuff can kind of use that as a roadmap to say, hey, obviously we're not going to have the scale like Xbox, but at the same time, what we are going to show, we can get that same kind of energy, right? We can go ahead and, prep and plan this thing out so that we are, the quick and dirty kind of showing where it's gameplay, very little talking. Give everybody that shows up to E3 digitally and is watching it, the millions of people, exactly what they want. And we're going to come out of this smelling like roses because people are going to be like, wow, that was really awesome. Glad they did it that way. This is awesome. So I think that with now everybody kind of adjusted at this point, 2 years coming into the third year of this. I think that we're going to see an even better show at E3 this year. We have more content. Again, the golden age of gaming is here, people. It's my favorite saying. The golden age is here. We've got more content coming out over these next 2 years than we've seen ever in the history of the gaming industry. And so I think that this E3, even digitally, it's never going to have that same feel like I was talking about with VR. There's nothing like a certain experience in person. I personally have never been able to go to an E3. I was looking forward to trying to get it done this year. Like Floor Hugger, it's very expensive, but at the same time, I was going to try. But if it wasn't able to happen, I think you can still have a awesome amount of energy coming out of E3 as we saw last year with some of the shows. And so I think that people and companies are going to take advantage of that again this year. Like I stated before, I have a sneaking feeling that we might see Sony back at this one. How fantastic would that be if that does wind up coming true, to see all three major players there again? Just that overall E3 can still be a great kind of Christmas for us gamers. So I'm excited. I'm hyped. I always am. I want to see the new stuff. Plus this year, I know for a fact the man God Howard is going to be out there with his blessings for all of us with a big, gigantic blowout of Starfield.
You could have just started with that.
So this is already
this image of Todd Howard out there, like anointing people as they kneel down.
Yes. Well, yeah, he's going to.
That's not how it is.
He's going to be doing his blessings. Of course, he blesses us with his smile and his nod. It's going to be fantastic, even digitally. So we already know it's going to be a gigantic show, especially for Xbox. So I'm hyped. I can't wait for it. I'm glad they announced this early, like I said, so everybody isn't kind of waffling, wondering this whole entire time. And shout out to Jeff. Shout out to Keeley. Hey, look, your personal things aside, Other Zinc, shout out to you, brother. I know how you feel about Jeff Keeley. Look, the man is always prepared. He was ready to rock and roll on Twitter, jump all over that, and announce his Summer Games Fest right on top of the ESA, announcing that it was going to be digital only for the E3. So shout out to Jeff Keighley, always being prepared. That's what it's all about. The guy's business sense is impeccable. So awesome job there. But yeah, no, I think everybody's getting better. We've seen Keighley shows get better as well. So I think we're in for a treat, even if it does have to be only digital this year. I think gamers are going to come out of this E3 very, very happy at the end of the day. So can't wait.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, before we wrap the show up, man. Where you at on the E3 2022 being, obviously all digital this year, and just did that quell kind of your expectations, or are you just still excited as well?
I'm still excited regardless. It's not like I've ever personally been to an E3. I've always attended them digitally through my television. Heck, if you want me to be absolutely honest, PTK, one of my fondest memories of E3 was when you invited me to do a live stream. It was when I had just got into podcasting. I had never done a live stream before, and you invited me. It was you, me, Fuzzy, Gaming Forte. And that's going to go down in a memory, at least in my old age, of that would be one of my fondest E3s. And that was done digitally. I'm looking forward to what they're going to show us. I'm definitely not surprised that it went this direction. I remember seeing everybody talking about, no, it's going to be public. It's going to be public. I even had a couple people reach out to me telling me to start saving up, and we're all going to meet and hang out at E3. And I was actually looking forward to that. I was like, no, I'll save up some money. Yeah, well, I'll meet you because I live in Phoenix. It's like, God, what is it, PTK? Like what, 4-6 hours from LA?
About 4 or 5 hours. 6 hours.
So
I'd say, yeah.
That's where I was going to drive down there and meet up with everybody. And I did tell them to be cautious though, because it is what it is. It's my job to keep up with getting things shipped in from other parts of the world, and I keep up with what's going on in the pandemic. And I saw numbers starting to tick up when it came to cases and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm getting concerned about this. And then shortly thereafter, I believe I saw that Microsoft canceled another stage event before the E3 thing happened. I think it had something to do with CES, saying that they were going to do a digital stage event at CES, and they had not yet announced that they were going to do the E3 digital event. But when I saw that first event go digital, I'm like, oh man, this ain't good. They're already canceling this. And this is getting technology out to basically to the world. And we're not talking about E3, which is mostly a fanfare event nowadays. And they're canceling their CS stage event. I'm really wondering if the E3 is going to be there. And then like not very short after that got posted, then of course, I have nothing against Jeff Keighley, but I have heard a lot of people that I listen to and chat with that just thought it was a little taboo that he came out instantly and was like, oh, summer of games. It's like nobody had a doubt in their mind that there was not going to be a summer of games. Like, trust me, Jeff Keighley, we know you're not going anywhere. Definitely. But like Pong said, he is a businessman ready at the button, ready to jump on these issues. Sorry, now my phone's going off. Sorry about that.
Oh my God, that's my alarm in the morning. Stop.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's my alarm to let me know it's time to take my allergy medication. Anyways, so definitely it's not a surprise that E3 went digital, but at the same time, not to sound cheesy, in great times of hardship or tribulation, that's when you could really see companies or people rise at their best. And this is definitely going to be a challenge that will be met head on. And we'll probably see some great, amazing things as a result of this challenge. And not to mention, it just sucks. This whole debate was really, this is what sparked a huge debate last night over on GRG. There was people in the chat that were just saying, open it up. And then everybody was just going back and forth. And definitely, it really sucks that it's not going to be there. Was looking forward to meeting a lot of good people, seeing a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, everything I know about E3 has just been from what people have told me. Even the non-showering thing, I've had people make jokes about how it's just a crowded room full of people that smell like body odor sometimes. But sometimes, I just really want to see things go back to normal.
I feel you.
Short, simple version of it. It'd be great for things to go back to normal, and really kind of start putting a band-aid or start letting this whole situation heal, because it's been an interesting ride, this whole situation. I just saw a GIF the other day with Sonic and Shadow that appeared on Twitter, and Shadow was telling Sonic, yeah, I'm from the future. And it's like, what year is it? Oh, it's 2020. Oh, that's the first year of the pandemic. Whoa, wait a minute. What do you mean the first year? And that's what I laughed at the GIF. I was like, oh man, could you imagine going back in 2020 being like, oh yeah, that was the first year? What do you mean the first year?
Yeah.
So
the history books are going to be wild.
Oh, it's gonna go crazy.
Man, it's definitely going to be an interesting thing for the history books for sure.
No.
But
all right. Well, yep. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, safety is the main priority here, and I think we all think that they did the right thing. Well, most people think they did the right thing at the end of the day. So we're just gonna go ahead and wrap up the first episode of 2022 of the Shop Podcast on that note, man. We appreciate everybody watching live. You guys were freaking awesome. We'll go ahead and get to our guests here first and foremost. I want to say, Floor Hugger, you've been amazing. I hope you had a good time on the show today. Shout out to everybody at Level 1 Gaming who came out and showed love, support. I saw Baron in there, David, everybody over there. Let everybody know where they can find you guys. If you're a fan of us here at the Shop Podcast, please go ahead and follow her. All of her information is down in the description below, as well as Level 1 Gaming's information. So please do me a favor and do that. But go ahead, Floor Hugger, let everybody know where they can find you at.
You guys are awesome. It has been a treat to be here tonight, and this just knowledge. It's always fun to you may not agree all the time with other gamers and stuff, but this fact that we can sit and just have conversations like this is always fun, and I enjoyed every single one of you guys. You can find me at Level 1 usually. Tuesdays, next Tuesday I'm coming back with Cogs in the Machine, so that's going to be another excellent show. Wednesday's podcast, you can find me streaming on Twitch. Everything is the Floor Hugger. You can even find me on TikTok. I don't post that often because I don't know how to dance, so it is what it is. I can't dance. But take care of each other in this Paleozoic era, because this is we've already, last year, if you guys are a part of the Level 1 family, we lost 3 people and it was hard. So please take care of each other. Please pray for people. Send good energy out there for everybody. And I love each and every one of you that stuck by us, watched, and continues to watch and support these awesome people here doing this awesome show. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much for those kind words. And once again, shout out and love and support to everybody over there at Level 1 Gaming. It's just an awesome group of gamers doing awesome, building a great community, led by Floor Hugger as well as Fame, ENT David. You guys are awesome leaders, and it shows in the growth of Level 1 Gaming, and it shows in you guys' dedication. You guys have put together a phenomenal team, and everybody here supports what you guys got going over there. So make sure you let everybody know if they're not watching at this point in time. But yeah, you guys do me a favor, follow them, follow her. They're amazing. You're welcome, more than welcome. So let's go ahead and get to my 3 compadres here. Mr. Pong Harvey, it's been good, brother. Been a good warm-up show, for the new year. But let everybody know where they can find you if they don't know already.
Yeah, I missed you all. I missed every single one of you. So it was a long 2 weeks. What a way to get back into it tonight. My favorite time, Saturday night, is always a great way to end it with the Shop podcast. And again, it was nice to have a vacation, but it's also, again, when you have a passion like this for the industry, you miss talking about it like this. And so thank you, brothers, for being back here this week. And thank you, Floor Hugger. It was an absolute honor. And again, a joy to hear your thoughts on these subjects. PTK does an awesome job with his guest lineups, but you definitely, like I said, I've listened to you a few times over in Level 1, and you definitely have some great insight, and it was awesome to have you here. So thank you again for joining us on our first show of 2022. What a great way to start out. Chat, absolutely fantastic as always. Love and respect for each and every single one of you that come out and support not only this show but all the shows. There's so many now. Podcasting is blowing up. We are the future of the media. The giants are dying off, and this is where it's at. This is where you get the good stuff. So thank you coming out and supporting us each and every week. Love all of you as well. But otherwise, you can find me Pong Soul, Xbox, obviously Twitter, you know the drill there. And then obviously, let's see, we're on Saturday. So Tuesday, back at it, Xbox Factor podcast, Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, another just fantastic member of this community. Please jump over there. Shout out to Boom, man. Just awesome dude, and does so much work in this community. So please check us out, Xbox Factor Podcast, Tuesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. So we've got Archimedes. We got Mav when he's available. 3-Bit may be back this week. He actually showed up for Xbox Ultimate. He is so dang busy in this industry, but he might be there. You got myself. Zemi Games has left the building for real life work. So shout out and congrats to Zemi on his new job, but he can no longer do the Xbox Factor podcast. So now Boom has brought in Mr. Joanna Dark, another awesome dude out of this community that has come onto the scene. So he is joining us there. He actually works for Xbox. So he's got some different takes as well. Come see us there Tuesdays. Thursdays, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM over on Fun Speculations channel, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, 2-man show. We're going to deep dive 1, 2, maybe 3 topics. If you didn't catch this week's, we deep dive the Ubisoft stuff, the PlayStation VR stuff, and even got into some Splinter Cell conversation as well because they announced a new book with Sarah his daughter taking over, which we talked about on Xbox Ultimate back last May as the possibility for the future of Splinter Cell. So we got into that. PM in the PM, Fun Speculations channel, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. Friday nights back on Fun Speculations channel, Xbox Ultimate, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. We are now the Great Eight. We are no longer the Magnificent Seven because I added Jasper Gaming, who was in the chat. Shout out to you, brother. He is now a permanent part of the crew. So come check out Xbox Ultimate on Friday nights over there. Saturday mornings, myself, my brother from another, Steel Rain, Living Split Screen. Split Screen is all one word. We wake you up. We give you the energy you need to get your day going. So jump on over. 3+ hours with him and I. We almost went 4 today because it's been 2 weeks. So come check us out, Living Split Screen. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, where we give you the live, raw, and uncut, as he likes to say, industry talk across all the industry, not just any one platform. Living Split Screen is where you can find us. Otherwise, I'll be back here next week. It is the golden age of gaming. People, enjoy it. Play what you love what you play, and I'm going to talk to you real soon.
Appreciate you, man. Once again, guys, if you don't know, follow below. It's all down in the description. Pong Soul, man. Appreciate you bringing the energy. You are the battery of the podcast, man. Thank you so much every single week. Let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, before we wrap it up with Fuzz.
Well, guys, it was an amazing show. Great show for kicking off 2022. For those interested in finding me and my channel, you can find me on YouTube at Centurion1307, Twitter, and Xbox Live. You can find me right here every Saturday night on the Shop Podcast with the amazing PTK Blam and my second family, Pong Soul and Fuzzy Belvedere. You'd be also able to find me over on the TXR podcast with the amazing Invader Gaming over there and the rest of the crew like Tim Dog. I am looking forward to tomorrow night's show. Definitely getting 2022 kicked off right. And also, thank you to you, Floor Hugger. Thank you for being here. It was great to meet you. And tonight's show has definitely been a fun one.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much every single week from you, Centurion, as well. And we're going to wrap this thing up with Fuzz.
I want to thank our special guest, Floor Hugger, for chilling with us tonight. It was awesome having you on here. Big fan of Level 1 Gaming. You guys, you do the damn thing. So y'all keep it up. It was awesome coming back here doing podcasting in 2022. Oh man, just kicking off the beginning of the year, and it's already starting on a good foot. For anybody that wants to hear my ramblings on anything video game related, you can find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, PSN Fuzzy_Belvedere, or Xbox Live Fuzzy Space Belvedere. More than likely playing either Forza Horizon 5 or Insurgency Sandstorm. As far as on podcasts I appear on, you can find me on Tidbits on Mondays with Mav on Fun Speculations channel. You can also find me on Breakfast with Boom on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Dreadpool and Crispy Bomb, as well as BitCloud Gaming. And you can also find me earlier on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on FSP Podcast, Fun Speculation Podcast with Mav and Just Key, where we pretty much give like our thoughts on, all the platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and PC. And as always, love coming here to my second home, my family outside the house type of deal. The Shop Podcast with you, Blam, Pong, and Centurion. You guys are basically family for me. So love doing this. Love talking gaming. It's, the hobby I enjoy. So
awesome. So last but not least, your boy.
Can
PTK,
I add on real quick, PTK?
Go ahead.
I got to play Insurgency Sandstorm a few weeks ago with Fuzzy, and I felt like I was with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was just straight up, come with me if you want to live. I mean, like straight up, man. He had that game on lock.
Oh yeah, Fuzz is into Insurgency. That's his shit right now. So yeah. I played that with him quite a bit ago. We got to jump back into it with all the new updates. But just to close things out here, man. So once again, last but not least, your boy PTK Blam across the board. Follow me on Twitter if you want all things Shop Podcast. You want to know all the updates, what's going on, guests coming up, poll of the week, All that's going to be on my Twitter account. That's all in the description below. And it's PTK Blam across the board on Xbox Live as well. Once again, guys, next week, same time, same place, brand new guests. Love you guys so much. See you guys. Enjoy the rest of your week and be safe. We're out of here, everybody. Peace out.
Later.